When we talk about how to achieve this effective control, I needed to connect this with the planning and controlling link. We say, hey, if we have the roadblock of planning, I would say this is mainly the manager's issue. But if we talk about the control, although it seems like the control is also like the manager's responsibility, but the controlling process is more related to the employee. This controlling process, I would more focus on how the managers leading the team. We talk about the leadership, leading the team. A good control system or effective control system. This is also we needed to, let's say, make sure that employees are fully engaged as well. Our control system must be integrated into the overall organization system. So that means like operation control, it's not only the operation control, right? So it's including the physical resource. Don't forget the human resource, information resource, financial resource system, overall organization system. So we call this integration. Objectivity means like we have the system, we have the standard. In the operation, we have the SOP, standard operating procedures, the flow chart. It must be specific, right? It provided the detailed information. Talk about the quality. You have the standard, the quality standards. You need to make it very detailed, you can access, you can verify this objective. If we talk about the working process, we talk about the SOP. The SOP needed to be very clear, very detailed as well, so that we can follow that. The accuracy means like this information must be complete, must be correct, right? I would say this control system, we needed to relate it to the quality standard. We needed to relate it to the SOP, standard operating procedure. So we needed the information resource, the data, right? Some of the report they directly, submitted to the controlling department. Some of the, report that they submitted to the operation department. But somehow, like if we need additional data, we needed to contact with our IM department, right? So to retrieve some data from the SQL server. So flexibility means like this, our control system should be able to adjust it, right? So it's not only like, oh, once we set up this control system, we can never change. When we talk about the steps in control, if everything's good, we don't need it to change, right? But if something's wrong, the system or the goal, the standard are not correct, we needed to change the system, right? So if we talk about the financial report, right, the financial controlling system, so we can somehow adjust the estimation, right, the projection, so that it makes sure our target is adjusted, and then we can follow this trend, whether this is the pattern or the trajectory is on the right track. We want to have this effective control. We needed the system, right? The control system to follow this integration, follow this objectivity, accuracy, timeliness, and then the flexibility. So the system can be a, like an information system, can be something like a management system, ERPs. You can call this like a dashboard, but actually this is a, many, let's say, different report from the operation department, from the financial controlling department. They have different reports to support this control process. When we talk about the responsibility, I would say, hey, actually all the managers are involved into this control process. Top, middle, the first line managers, all the line managers, we are responsible for this control system. For example, if you are the manager in the operation department, for sure, you're responsible. But also you are a manager in this financial controlling department. You also have the responsibility to, first of all, it is like generate those financial reports. And then you needed to interpret, let's say, summarize this report. So this is involved all the functions, all the managers. Here, they talk about the financial controllers, the financial controller from the financial controlling department. They needed to do the forecast. Once we have the monthly reports or the quarterly reports, they will need to analyze the report and then combine with the operation department to try to either we change the process or change the operation, right? Change our performance, or we need to somehow adjust the targets. adjusted the target is not appropriate. But let me tell you, adjusted the forecast is okay, right? All right, the goals, the target already there, but we can adjust the forecast. Try to see the gap is closing, all right? So, and then we develop this so-called the action plan to adjust our performance, reinforce our performance. Mainly, as I want to say, like this is all the managers, okay? Because we want to control not only the operation, right? The managers in operation department, but also other supporting department, they will be involved. Financial controllers provide us the report, right? The financial report to monitor it or to control the whole process. When we want to achieve this effective control, we needed to manage it, right? We needed to manage the control process. We would say control is the responsibility of all the managers, particularly when we talk about operation, right? The operation managers. But somehow, as we said, that this control executed those control with our employees. Employees, they are okay with the daily process, but somehow they are very resistant to the changes. Over control is one of the reasons why they don't like. They are working on like daily sales, right? In the retail grocery stores. You cannot control that the performance every hour, right? Every, let's say, minutes. Also, I'm a little exaggerated. Let them to do the job. And then you come back, check with their performance, the results. Some managers, they don't know how to control. They are focusing on either too narrow, or they are focusing on a very different, let's say, area. For example, we are talking about performance. We talk about the sales. We talk about the cost. Some of the managers, they have we call this a micromanagement style. Means they control many, many things, very, very narrow. Cleaning. I'm not saying cleaning is not important, but you needed to prioritize, right? The sales costs, right? The process, and then the cleaning, right? And then there's tidiness, the presentation, the display, right? In the grocery store. Clearly, what is more important? What is less important? Let's say once they are controlled, they are measuring the reward, the inefficiency. Why we like to work overtime? Okay, not because we work very hard or very effectively. Actually, we just want to be there. And then once our line managers see us like sitting or work overtime, they just feel good. Actually, this is called the rewarding the inefficiency. If you are efficient, all right, you're doing the right job, you are doing a good job, you should not work overtime. It seems like your attitude is good, but your performance should not be efficient enough. We also needed to delegate. If we want to do a good job, we needed to develop our subordinates by delegation. We needed to show our accountability. That means as the manager, we have the responsibility, we have the accountability. Our employee, our subordinates, they also have this accountability. We have the effective control. I don't need to control them on the daily basis. We assign them the responsibility. By default, we created the accountability. They will report to us, reported the performance, reported the progress. I needed to report, or I needed to sit down with my line manager to talk about the performance, right? That's my accountability. I needed to proactively report the progress instead of my manager always follow me. We have to talk about the managers, right? Now we talk about the employee. So once we have the control system properly designed, the employee, they understand how it works. And then they also know the control system is working. And then the result will be out by months or by quarter. And then also we want to motivate them, try to reduce the resistance. As I said, that they don't want to be controlled. We needed to have the system there. And then we needed to set up the objective. This is so-called the management by objectives. All right. Also, this is by default. So once we have this MBO, we have those so-called accountability. Actually, we control by numbers, right? We control by result. So that's why weekly we have the sales report. Monthly, we have the financial report or the P&L income statement, right? And then having that in hand, you have something to discuss, all right? You have something to do this PDCA, plan, do, check. We're talking about the check, all right? The control process. And then action, we have the action. If the sales is not good, what we do, okay? If the action is good, it is the time, right, to reward the performance. as the manager, reward employees' performance. This is what we call the control system building provision of checks and the balance. Okay, so we have a general overview regarding the control system. The controlling directly linked with planning, but this needed the whole organization to be involved. Process, we needed to have those, let's say that the operation procedures, right? If we talk about the quality, we needed to have the clearly quality standards, right? If we talk about numbers, performance, right? We needed to have this the reporting system, financial report. We will have the operation report, right? Those are supporting us for the controlling, effective controlling.